Yo, what is up everybody, it's Really Great here and welcome back to another Naruto reaction video here today. And today we got yet another video by the great Six, and as you can tell by the title, this is Obito and Itachi'S dynamic, Naruto's plot holes. So folks, from the title, I am implying that obviously this video will reference maybe a certain plot hole that involves Obito and Itachi's relationship and their dynamic, right, as indicated by the title. I'm very intrigued to see what Six has to say. Within any anime, a plot hole or two is inevitable, right? Although some plot holes are very subtle, some are very apparent. And that's all dependent on the writer's consciousness when it comes to plot holes. How pedantic do they want to be when writing an anime? Do they care highly about the little details, or are they okay with some inconsistency, whether it's power scaling wise or plot wise, right? That's always something to think about. It's always interesting to try and dissect if there are any inconsistencies within any said anime. And today we're going to see if Six points one out, or what this video will exactly entail. I'm very intrigued to see what he has to say. But before we begin, anyways, greatly appreciate it. Hit that like button, turn on bell notifications to stay updated with yours truly. And if you're new and you enjoy, man, and you mess with the kid, make sure to hit that sub button, because once you do, become part of the family forever. Let's not waste more time, screen. See what Six says today.
Hello everyone. I sort of wanted my last video to be my last video, like where I do something like this and it's not like fully edited like a scripted video or a collab, whatever. Then I got on Twitter and I saw this hilariously bad sort of plot hole thread about Itachi and Obito on Twitter. The guy's @ is on the screen. I'm not gonna bother to like blur it out or whatever. His @ is Space Cowboy Dom. And although this may be an exaggerated title, he claims this is the largest plot hole in anime and manga, and it's the dynamic of Itachi and Obito.
I see.
Yeah, I skimmed through the thread a little bit. I didn't read every part of it, so I guess once you get down towards the bottom, you know, maybe he's like completely changed sides or something like that. But yeah, I guess we can just get started with the first message here. He says, to start this thread, the two Uchihas have opposite goals and are each other's biggest interference for most of the story. Who will win in a fight to the death is how I'll start the thread, but regardless who wins doesn't matter to the main point being made. Who wins? So I guess he's just saying like who wins between the two doesn't matter. It's like the whole goal here. He just has like an issue with their dynamic.
I see.
The favorite to win is definitely Obito, so we'll start with him. I disagree with this. Like, the favorite to win is definitely not Obito. I think I ran a poll on like who people thought would win between Itachi and Obito, and Itachi won. Now I'm not saying my poll counts for everyone, right? But you know, it is some form of evidence that maybe Obito isn't who everyone wants to win the battle. After the aftermath of the invasion from Orochimaru, Konoha is already left in shambles. It is a perfect opportunity for Obito and Pain to strike while Naruto is still young and enemies are already weakened. So the issue with this is that Obito and Itachi made a pact, right? In exchange for Itachi joining the Akatsuki, Obito is not to attack Konoha or go after Sasuke. And Obito honors this pact up until Itachi's death, because when Itachi dies, he said there's nothing in my way anymore and I can finally go after Konoha.
Correct.
And not only that, I have a big issue with people saying that since a character doesn't act in the most efficient way possible, the plot is bad or something like that. Because people themselves don't even act in the most efficient way possible. Like, you can't always do things the most efficient, and I'll get into this a bit later because I'm trying not to spoil like some upcoming videos, but Obito is not who this guy thinks he is. Obito's a completely different character than how a lot of people interpret him. But yeah, like I said, I'll get into that probably a little bit later.
Right.
This would be a good time for them to strike, but Obito has a pact that he's honoring with Itachi to not go after Konoha. Why wouldn't Obito invade at the best opportunity? His goal of capturing the Nine Tails would be complete. People say it's because Itachi was still alive and wouldn't allow it, which brings up the question, why not just kill Itachi? Probably because he didn't want to. Like I said, I agree. This is the best opportunity for Obito to invade Konoha, without question. It's not like he couldn't just invade it at any time. Like, even when Hiruzen was there, Obito could have invaded and just like won easily. But He doesn't want to kill Itachi. I mean, this sort of goes back to what I just said about characters not always acting in the most efficient way possible. But people don't take into account, like, these are actual characters made. Like, it's supposed to be a verse you're like looking at, and you're like looking at the characters make these specific actions or whatever. These characters can have wants and shit, right? Like, an answer I give people sometimes is like, why Obito didn't just make 2 holes in his mask or something like that. Like, what if Obito just thinks the one-eyed mask looks cool and that's why he's wearing it? Like, these are people, or they're supposed to be people. They're obviously fictional characters, but they're supposed to be people. Like, they have human minds and whatnot. And on top of this, Obito is kind of lazy. Obito doesn't do things like this because he's a nihilist. He doesn't care about reality. He thinks like basically life is pointless because he wants to make this whole new reality or whatever. Being a nihilist, like, sometimes I remember when Jiraiya is about to fight Pain and Jiraiya is like theorizing that someone controlled the Nine Tails, and he makes the hypothesis that it's Madara during the attack on Konoha 16 years ago. And we get a flash to Obito, and Obito's just in the final valley just chilling on Madara's head. Like, what are you doing? Go capture some Biju. Like, I think we can all agree Obito, like, he can teleport, and he's the strongest person in the verse for a very long time.
Correct.
He could have teleported to each and every village, kidnapping Biju, genjutsuing them, and or killing them. And he doesn't do that. It's because he's just a lazy piece of shit. And that is all there is to it. There's nothing else more than that. Like, this whole idea that villains need to act in the most efficient way possible for the story to be good, or the hero.
Alright, I gotta touch up on this and kind of add to what Six has been saying here. Right. Now, of course, there's always these optimal solutions that would negate the very plot being told, right? And this is what I would say about Obito. Yes, he is probably the most powerful character in the verse up until the war arc, right? However, again, you always got to take into consideration the writers themselves of such said anime want a byproduct of good storytelling. So what kind of storytelling would we have if fucking Obito just went to each village and calmly the Jinchuriki into the Kamui dimension and simply just extracted, you know, the tailed beast out of them, and that's the end of the fucking plot? There would be no plot. It'd be a boring ass anime, one that would never have the success it does now. Keep that in mind. People are always saying, well, why doesn't Obito just do this and that and this and that, right? Why didn't this happen or that happen? Why is Kaguya so stupid when she's way stronger than Naruto and Sasuke? Convenient storytelling. They want good plot. They want a good plot that will engage the viewer. There has to be this sort of tension. If there's no tension, and if everything's so concrete and we know what's going to happen, we're not going to listen, we're not going to watch the anime, we're not going to read the manga. It's as simple as that. Now, if we want to go to the actual character, Six hit it right on the money. He's a nihilistic individual. He doesn't care about anything. His only real goal is Madara's goal, which is the infinite Tsukunome, right? That's his goal. And if we have the presupposition that he has a human mind, we could simply just say, well, he wants to approach this in the most convenient way possible, right? Have the Akatsuki do his dirty work. Everyone respects him. Have them do it. and gradually build up to the point where the infinite Tsukunomi can take place, right? So all those factors, the writers wanting good storytelling, Obito being a nihilist, Obito not caring about reality like Six said, which he's right about, are the reasons why we didn't have this optimal solution of, oh, he could have simply just went to each village and Kamui the Jinchurikis away. And GG's, that's the end of the Naruto storyline, right? So take that into consideration. As far as Itachi and Obito, there definitely was a respect between the two. There was a mutual respect between the two, clearly, or Obito would have never said some of the things he said about Itachi. Like when he died, he said, well, now there's nothing in my way, which implies that he respected Itachi. Maybe it doesn't mean he thinks that Itachi would have killed him or is superior to him, but he respects him enough not to engage in that altercation. And also when Itachi implanted his own eye into Sasuke, and when Sasuke awakened it, it summoned the Amaterasu on Obito's body. And Obito stated, well, if he would have known more about me, I could have been dead. I would be dead. Again, another sign of respect. So there is a mutual respect as well. It's not like Obito's way up here and he thinks Itachi's his fucking fodder. That's never the case. So keep that in mind too. Again, Obito wanted the most convenient way of approaching this plan. Let's keep that in mind. Let's continue though.
Need to do that is just illogical. People don't act that way. So yeah, let's move on. Doing so would allow Obito to obtain dual EMS and guaranteed victory of capturing Naruto, destroying Konoha. After that, well, Obito wins. There won't be anyone else to stop him. The story doesn't happen. That's the first side of the plot hole. Now, the definition of a plot hole, I looked this up. Like the definition that Google gives anyway, which is Oxford language, is like inconsistencies in the story that contradict like previously established logic or something like that. I don't agree with that definition of a plot hole because of the negative connotation that the word plot hole has in the anime community. If you don't know what a connotation is, connotations are essentially not exactly what a word means. That's a denotation. Connotation is how a word makes you feel.
Just stigma.
So,
right.
For example, if I were to call someone homophobic, right, that term has negative connotation despite what the word actually means, right, which I won't get into. Whatever the word actually means, if I call you that, I'm probably not congratulating you for something, right? So the word plot hole is always seen as something bad, when in reality you can basically chop up almost everything to be a plot hole because the definition is so vague. So I like to make my own definition of a plot hole, which is it's a hole in the plot that can't be explained by virtually anything. There's no way to reason it out. I given some examples of like Dragon Ball before, but I don't want to get too caught up on this. I just think that this isn't a plot hole. All this is he disagrees with the character's actions and he's just calling it a plot hole. Anyway, about Obito obtaining dual EMS, that I don't think that that's true. Obito, it's sort of implied that to get EMS anyway, there needs to be this sort of compatibility factor between you and the person you're getting the EMS from, like close blood ties, like blood relatives. So like we see Madara and his brother, he gets his eyes, he obtains EMS, and then Sasuke and his brother. Obito and Itachi have no known relation outside of both being Uchiha clan members. So I highly doubt that putting his eye in would have given him EMS. And it doesn't even seem like that's something Obito wants. Like Obito doesn't even need EMS. Obito at this point in the series, he doesn't even really fight. He just chills and gives pain orders.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's not like this is a bad thing by any means. It's just how Obito acts. But let's scroll a little bit more in the thread. For the other side, what if Itachi could kill Obito? There's already dialogue that Obito implies Itachi could have killed him if he wanted to as well. Just a few panels after Itachi did try to kill him with the Amaterasu. So, I'll pull up this game here. This is actually the manga reader translation, but Viz says sort of the same thing. And I like to use Viz as like a translator instead of these random manga websites. But Obito does say if he didn't, he'd be dead right now. The secret he's probably talking about is the fact that he had Izanagi or another Sharingan. Because if you look at Obito, even all of us, right? I'm sure when he unveiled his mask and he had another Sharingan under there when he was fighting Konan, we were probably all surprised, right? If you look at Obito, like Itachi is probably doing, you see only one Sharingan, right? So Itachi's like, okay, you know, you can kill him easily with an Amaterasu shot. Obito is probably saying that if he didn't have that secret, maybe Itachi would have installed 2 Amaterasus in Sasuke or something like that to get him again.
Right.
So yeah, because he does say he set things up with the sight of his Sharingan, blah 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 blah. So yeah, I mean, I just don't think this is a good point for like Itachi maybe killing Obito. Like, okay, we know Amaterasu can get the job done, cool, but even in that moment that it happened, even if you don't want to say Obito was off guard the whole time, right, at least in a conventional sense, Obito is off guard. Because think about it like this, imagine, and this is like the world of Naruto, right, you're talking to a guy and then his dead brother's unique magical eye pattern pops up and his eye starts bleeding. You're probably gonna be like, what the fuck? Like, he probably didn't know what was going on. And then immediately following that, he got hit in the shoulder. So he did react a bit, and he didn't even react with his Kamui, right? Like, he was so shocked. He reacted the wrong way, because Sasuke is looking at his eye, and then the Amaterasu spawns on his shoulder. So Obito tried to dodge like left, and the Amaterasu hit where his head used to be, right? So Obito's so shocked, he's not even using Kamui. He's just like trying to dodge normally. Like, when does Obito do that?
Right.
Never. So yeah, I definitely hate this point in the Itachi versus Obito debate. Like, I don't want to comment on who I think would actually win that, because I do think it's kind of a weird topic.
Fair enough.
Like, I think it's Obito favoring, but there's like some good arguments you can make for Itachi. But this is like horrible evidence, in my opinion anyway, to say that Itachi could just kill Obito. So yeah, I think we're getting towards the end here. Yeah, okay, so regardless of who wins, the point is still clear. Itachi would have stopped the plans of the Akatsuki and saved the world. Why didn't he?
I don't know about that.
Plan. This is not Itachi's plan.
Correct.
Itachi's plan is to die and have Sasuke beat him so that Sasuke is seen as a hero. It is not to stop the Akatsuki and save the world.
Yep, that's correct.
That's why Itachi didn't do it. Read Naruto. That's all I could tell Mr. Space Cowboy Dom. Reread the series. Just because there are people in Naruto that don't act the way you specifically want them to, it doesn't make their actions bad, or it doesn't make their character bad, or it doesn't create plot holes. It just adds flaws to characters that need them. Overall, right. The point is, whoever killed the other would have guaranteed victory in their goals, whether they be protecting Konoha or Obito trying to destroy the world. Well, protecting Konoha isn't Itachi's main goal. He kind of secured that part already with Obito. Like I just kind of went over that. And Obito isn't really trying to destroy the world, right? Like, I think up to a certain point, Obito was actually going to revive Madara with the Rinnegan, and he kind of had to groom Nagato for that.
Right.
So if he has to groom Nagato and Nagato's just not ready to, take up the mantle, or he's not ready to commit suicide to bring Madara back, maybe he's just not thinking of that, because his goal is to save the world, right? I genuinely think the only reason Obito killed so many people in the fourth war is because they were literally like getting in his way of trying to put everyone under Genjutsu. So whoever won the fight to the death would obtain perfect. What? Would obtain perfect Susanoo? How did we get here? Oh, I guess he thinks like EMS grants perfect Susanoo automatically. Well, that's just not true. Like, we see that with Sasuke. And I've become the strongest shinobi in the verse at that time. That is true, yeah. The fact that neither did this is obviously for Naruto to be the main character, but that's regardless. The story shouldn't even have happened. Yeah, I just don't agree with this.
Yeah, I don't really agree either.
It's almost like he took Naruto and then just made it worse in every way. He was like, okay, how can I break the narrative? Okay, I know how I can break the narrative. Let me take these characters completely out of character, take context away from all their decisions, and I'm left with this, where the story stops before Naruto even is born. Or no, he would have been born by that point, but the story just stops. It's like, bro, of course it's like that. Like, you can do this with any story.
Correct.
Any story.
Yep.
There's no story that is completely like perfectly written. Yeah. Anyway,
of course.
I'm gonna get off. I'm not gonna keep making fun of Mr. Dom here. I guess I'll leave the Twitter thread linked in the description if you want to maybe quote retweet him or something like that. But yeah, I'm gonna get out of here now.
Great video, 6 as always.
Subscribe and have a nice day.
Peace. All right, guys, there you guys have it. Now let me give my takes on this. This is a very interesting little topic of discussion here. Again, like I said previously, and I think 6 agrees with his last statements, there is no perfectly written story. At the end of the day, writers want to write a convenient and well-told plot. That's their whole goal, to sell mangas, to get eyes on the TV, on the screen, to watch the anime, right? You don't want these obvious outcomes, and there has to be a human dynamic within these individuals. Obito, his goal was the infinite Tsukuyomi, and who knows, part of him was probably conflicted even back then, and obviously his conflictions and his convictions were very questioned in the war arc when he met Naruto. That's when his convictions began to dwindle when it came to Project Tsukuyomi, right? The infinite Tsukuyomi. Itachi, his sole goal was to protect Sasuke, right? And he did care for the leaf at the end of the day. He did care for it. Sasuke was his main priority. So, Obito knew that, and him going to the leaf would obviously put Sasuke at risk, and that's something Itachi didn't want. Obito and Itachi had a discussion before the massacre of the Uchiha, and he said, do not kill Sasuke, don't kill anyone else in the leaf, let's just go do this. Let's go take care of what we have to do. You can have your revenge. We all win. We all go home. It was simple as that, right? And Obito and Itachi had somewhat of an understanding. Was there some tension? Most likely. Probably before Itachi's death. Obito knew that Itachi was someone to respect, right? That's probably a big reason why he simply didn't just go to Konoha and to all the villages in Kamui, all the Jinchuriki. Again, another big reason is the writers wouldn't go that route anyway, because it would be a boring plot. It wouldn't be polarizing like it is now. You know, it's a legendary anime due to those flaws. Sometimes it's the imperfections that make an anime great. It doesn't always have to be logically consistent. Like, it doesn't always work. We're not robots. We're human beings. Flaws are sometimes very, very polarizing. You know, things that don't make sense, things that intrigue us. That's what makes a great anime. Not fucking, oh, Obito could just calmly everybody, logically speaking, because he was able to compete with Minato as 14 years old. So he can logically just calmly every Jinchuriki, and that's the end of the fucking story. There is no Naruto journey. There is no Naruto and Sasuke dynamic. There is no Team 7. There's no nothing, because Obito is superior. Like, is that really what you want? And 6 is right. That's not a plot hole. That's not a plot hole, right? It's not an inconsistency. This kid, whoever he is, that's Dom or whatever, he just wanted that to happen. There is no plot hole there. So that's not really correct. There is things that don't make sense, but a plot hole, I think, is a strong word. Plot hole is something that is blatantly just, what the hell, you know? Something like, let's say, for example, maybe if Naruto, you know, was getting stronger. This is hypothetical. If Naruto was getting stronger, and then all of a sudden he loses to fucking Konohamaru or something like that. That's a plot hole. Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense, right? But that's not what this is. That's not what this is at all. There's nothing wrong with what happened. It went very well. It obviously intrigued many people. Many people. Kishimoto wanted to build Obito's lore, right? With us thinking he was Madara back then. He wanted to build his lore. He didn't just want him coming out fucking comboing the whole world. That wouldn't have been, the suspense would not have been there. The thrill, the intrigue would not have been there. You had to build this kind of lore up. Same thing with Itachi. That's why you never see him just have a flat out war battle right off the bat. You know, lore is a very emphasized thing in Naruto. And a byproduct of that is a slow build-up, such as with Obito, all the way up into the war arc. And we finally got a taste of what he can really do. So, this guy definitely was kind of having some outlandish takes, and an outlandish definition of plot hole. He really did. So I agree with 6. The guy really didn't get anywhere. He was trying to have some outlandish takes on these things. He had an outlandish viewpoint that really doesn't make any sense in the long run when it comes to a good story, right? So take it as you will, but I agree with 6 on this. But yeah, this was an interesting topic. But like 6 says, and like I say, every anime has flaws and inconsistencies and can be better written. There is no perfect story. It doesn't exist. We live in a tangible reality where imperfection is around us. Excellence exists, but perfection does not. Right? That's a unattainable aspect. Right? That's an unattainable trait. Perfection is not realistic in any field of discipline. It just doesn't exist. So keep that in mind. That's why there's always discussions to be had. Imperfection breeds discourse. That's the beauty of our tangible reality. Because there's imperfection, there is always alternative solutions to any such said problem, right? In general. So that's the beauty of us being human, right? Us being human implies imperfection because humans are not perfect. Hence the saying, I'm only human. We are not robots. We are not all-knowing entities. That's not what we are. And I think there's a certain beauty about that. There's a certain beauty about mundane normality, right? There's a certain beauty about it. And authors try to exploit that when writing stories. They want to really pique our interest, our human interest, right? And we got to be able to relate for that to happen. So when we have perfect individuals that can do no wrong and do no harm, it gets boring pretty quickly. We need to see flaws. We need to see struggles, conflicts, trials, and tribulations. Right? Hence, Obito's story, Obito's build-up, Obito's conflictions and his convictions, and Itachi's convictions and conflictions. Although he was a prodigy, he made mistakes. He made mistakes. He even acknowledges those such said mistakes himself when he's talking to Sasuke. Right? When he's in Edo, he tells Sasuke, hey, I made mistakes in the past. I thought I could handle it all on my own. I had a god complex to some extent. And here I am. I failed you. And because of that, all this hate now lives in your heart. I guarantee you would have approached it different if he had a second chance. He probably would have talked to Sasuke or something. He would have done something else. Obito, one of the most flawed characters in the entire show, knew his hands were dirty, but he still helped Naruto in the end, right? These very flaws are what make these characters so compelling. It's not all about how powerful is this guy. It's not what it's all about. Character development is very crucial, and part of character development are flaws and imperfections embedded in their very character. So keep that in mind before having these kind of takes like this guy did that Six pointed out. But yeah, guys, this was very interesting. Very, very interesting video. I heavily enjoyed it. And let me know your thoughts on this and what this guy was saying and Six's comments and my own. If you have any recommendations, as always, please let me know in the comments. And I'll catch you in the next video. This is Jay signing out. Peace.